last time I talked about constructor. So constructor is about a definition of a function. Okay. So what is the meaning of about the definition of function? In C, you know what is the definition of function, right? Definition of function contains local variables, contains the instruction inside the functions. But in JavaScript, they behave totally different. It don't just talk about the code. It also talk about the environment, it being enclosed when you want to have the functions, or I would say that, let me go back to a few slides. When we talk about this, the XHR, XML HTTP request, this is where is the asynchronous? Okay, so it is asynchronous, the asynchronous version. Last time we talked about HTTP, XML HTTP request. Okay, so we have already talked about it. This function, when it want to be created, okay, it refers to a variable which is not inside its scope. Okay, but it is not a global. It's not a global variable. Look at this. This is request. Request is within a function. I declare a variable request. So this is not a global variable. When this function gets invoked, it won't see it as a global. Now, how this variable is being used or being referred within this function, we call this special property or special way of a function execution or definition called constructor. It includes its environment as well. Okay, so last time I talked about this event wrong program. This program is wrong. Why is this wrong? Last time I showed you the program. Program, where are you? Okay. So the event wrong. So when you click on a particular box, you expect that it will tell you the ID number of that box, which is 0, 1, 2, and 3. But when you click on it, because of the registration is like this. Okay, so registration of the callback, you register for the click event. The callback is this function. Yet this callback refers to a variable called I. Okay, it refers to a variable called I. Is it a local variable? No, it's not a global variable. No, it's not global. It's not local. Okay, it is within the function that I create. The I variable is within the function, not just a function, within the for loop. Okay, so it's kind of a temporary one, right? If you know about Java, C++, they all behave like this. This I is as if a temporary variable. You go outside the for loop scope, it disappears. Now, this is not the case for JavaScript. For JavaScript, you want that variable. Okay, when you create this callback, I already pass the program and see that the I variable is not within this function. I kind of use a pointer, to point it to this location. So when I finish this for loop, this I doesn't disappear. This I doesn't disappear, and I say that it just a user mechanism look like a pointer. So when this for loop goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, it still works by creating the temp variable and register the event. And yet, when it reaches 4, it will go outside the loop. Still, this variable doesn't disappear. It's still there. It's still there. So when you call this function, when you go through a click, you call this function, this I is equal to 4. So last time we talked about how to rescue us. How to rescue ourselves. To rescue ourselves, we'll combine two ways to write it. Okay, first of all, we want to create a temporary variable for that particular function, right? Because it's used just like the mechanism of pointer, a reference concept. Okay, so I want every function to refer or reference, point to whatever name you want to say that, to point to a standalone variable. It's not being used over and over again. The I is being used over and over again. I don't want it. Okay? So here I create a variable called, you can say temp or whatever, I just call it count. Okay, CNT, count variable. Now this count variable I created within this function, but this seems to be not okay, right? Because I just reinvent the concept, right? I just include a function and then return a function. So what is the next thing? The next thing is I enforce it to create that variable by executing that function. I want the function to be executed. When I register this callback, I execute a function so that this CNT is created. right? You execute this function, so you create it. And when the callback actually is this function, the callback refers to CNT. It uses just like a pointer concept to point this CNT only, and this is the only copy. Now think about it in the next loop. Okay, in the next loop, I copy the I variable 0 to CNT. The next loop is copy 1 to CNT, and then 2 to CNT. Yet we have different copy of CNT. Okay, so that's why when you look at some codes in the Stack Overflow, GitHub, whatever places you see, even some textbook, you will find something like this, and you won't understand this. Okay, and actually it is to enforce the closure. Okay, I mean not enforce closure, to limit the closure, so that the closure will refer to a variable that I want to refer to. I want it to refer to. I just narrow the scope to just this CNT, and I force it to be created. Okay, so this is what we have last time, and last time I also talked about this program. Now with the previous concept in your mind, can you answer what's happened to this program? This program, first of all, lets you to see the result. Okay, the result is like this. This is the wrong version 2. Click on it, it says free. Click on it, it says free, free, free. Okay, so tell me why, and I will call yellow. What is the phone number? Yeah, look at that. Where is the phone number?你哋唔覺好熱咩？覺嘅，係咯，所以打電話就開冷氣咯。呢度好先進㗎，有服務㗎。可能佢哋嚟到咧，落堂咯。啲人服務咧，呢度真係犀利，服務式住宅。Okay, any problem? Any problem to this program? Am I binding to the count variable each function, each copy? I mean, no, each function has its own copy. Is that the count variable CNT? No. Why?
Because all take that according to the same object.
So you meet this guy. This guy has a problem.
Yes.
Okay. So this guy, what is this guy? This is an object notation, right? I declare an object, and the object has a field called value. So I set it to 0, and every time I change it from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, and then n. Okay. So what is the equal sign here? The equal sign is when you know that this is JavaScript object, and it's just behave like a, how can I explain C, not in C, in Java, okay? In Java, you use an assignment statement here. It means copy reference. In copy reference, okay? So you are creating different copies of reference pointing to the same guy, okay? So this is a very dangerous act, okay? If you don't understand it, you get it wrong, okay? Plus, some people love to use it inside the event together with jQuery. jQuery always returns objects to you, okay? So you have to, well, at least create different copies of objects if you want, okay? Next, okay? Next, what is it? Okay, this now we go to only two, huh? Only two design pattern. So what is design pattern? If you're a CSCI undergraduate, sorry, I don't know what happened to our curriculum. No one talk about what is design pattern. Okay? Yeah, it sucks, right? Well, actually, talking about design pattern is good. Like my FYP, okay, they look at other people's code. Other people's code follow design pattern. Then they quickly understand what other people is writing because they follow strictly to some standard. And when we look at the code, they will understand it because they also understand what is design pattern. Okay. Now, it's one of the patterns that is frequently used in JavaScript. So what is it? The OOP pattern. The OOP, right? Object-oriented programming. You all know this, and you know that Java has object, and I also tell you that Java object sucks. Okay, it's not an object, right? Or at least, what is that? You want to create private variable to an object as well as public variable. You cannot fulfill this task. What is the meaning? The meaning is there is no private and public. All are public, right? You create a function, it's a public function. You create a variable inside object, it's a public instance variable by default. Okay? So how can we create it? Okay? Of course, it's not by adding a tag, say, oh, this is public. Okay? Public JavaScript object dot blah blah blah. No, you cannot do this. We need the help of culture. Okay? I copied it from a book, the example. Okay? So very illustrative program. Very short. Okay? So what is this program is about? This program is just a function. Okay? Now when you look at it, can you find it whether this function will be executed by the end? Will it? Or just a definition of a function? Will it be executed? You only need 2 seconds to answer it, huh? Yeah, here. Okay, it will be executed. It will be executed. Okay? Now, when you know that it will be executed, now look at what is inside. Why I force it to be executed? I give you 1 minute. Tell me, are there any instance variable? Oh, by the way, tell me the first thing. What is the return value of this function? That means what is the type of variable of counter? Others? Yeah, this guy said objects. What is a type of variable? Integer, undefined, null, not number, object, floating point, I don't know what it is, number, string. Where do you find the return value? The return, right? So when the return, we find the return have a open curly braces. Okay, so let's treat it as a block. So there's a block starting from here to here, right? So because it's this mesh, this guy, this mesh, this guy, oh, this guy, this guy. So this is a block, and within this block, you will find some declaration of function, right? I assign a name called increment, and this increment point to a function. Okay, so I just ignore what is changed by, what is this guys, okay? I ignore that, okay? So you can see this is just a purely an object with 3 functions as its properties, okay? So that means 3 public functions. Now, what's next? Next, we go into take a look what is the change by functions, as well as here return private counter. Okay, so this is more easier to see. So let's take a look here. So this is a function, and this function rely on a variable called private counter. So I would say that this function as a culture, it encapsulates this private counter together with its implementation. Now, but the implementation is just return its value. Okay, so when I execute this guy, when it executes, it will create the counter called private counter, var private counter equal to 0, execute it so that I will have a copy of this variable called private counter, right? Because I executed. So this as if I have a pointer point to this variable. So this private counter is talking about this piece of memory. Okay? Now, ask you another question. This kind of mechanism, what is it? Just a simple function call, right? But I bind it to a variable. Now the problem is, can I write a function? Hey, where is my pen? Or write a statement saying that, let's say the variable is called counter, big C, right? Big C counter dot private. I shouldn't make it long. Counter, okay, equal to -1. Can I do this? Who think no? Okay, no. Who think yes? No one. Okay, so some of them is half, yeah, in quantum state. Sometimes no, sometimes yes. I put this question here. We will refer to this question right away. Yeah. Don't care about us. Okay. I'm crazy. So leave this question later. Okay. So let's take a look at other two functions. So the two functions, what are they? What are they? Change by, right? Now, first of all, I write down another statement here. Can I call counter dot change by? Okay, change by -1 maybe. Okay, and just this statement. Can I call this? It seems not, right? Because it's not belong to the definition of the return object, right? It's not belong to the definition. The definition only include this guy. Change by -1 is a failure call. You will have a let's say the undefined or some other syntax error guys coming out. Now what is going on here? As if I'm creating private method in Java, right? Still remember Java has private method. Okay, so here is a private method, and this private method, as if I create a coaster. This coaster is crazy, huh? This coaster is pointing to this definition, and now let's start a chain reaction. The chain reaction is like this. I have this guy, the coaster, and closing this chain by, and the change by definition point to private counter. Wow. So what is that? This is a bigger coaster, just a bigger coaster. And the bigger coaster include this guy. Now the problem is that this is a very important problem. When you look at that, as if I'm creating one private variable called private counter, one private method called change by, and the free pocket method that access the private methods or private variables. Now the problem is, the three functions point to the same guy. The same guy here. This is the question. If the three different coaster point to three different instances, that will fail. Okay? So let's run a example to see the effects here. Okay? The private version number 1. Okay, so I skip all the pop-up first. Now, this is the program. Okay, so there's a program, and the program is the same in PowerPoint. Okay, one reminder: when you write something like this, you have to have a open bracket here to enclose the entire function. Put it okay into a same block. Okay, then I call the guys here because I create an object, so I try to access its private instance variable value through the value method. I call increment twice. You should have 0 change to 2. Then I call decrement, so 2 become 1. And I try to access counter private counter. So this method, I try to access this. Okay? Let's see the results. I reload the browser, then you will see the result. Now, remember the answer. The answer is my mind should be 0, 2, 1, and something wrong here. Okay? Reload. 0. Good. 2. Very good. Perfect. Now the last part. Undefined. Seems to be some magic, huh? With such a statement, we fulfill the whole OOP that we learned before. Of course, I mean, the reason is JavaScript is just like a mystery things, right? You look at it and how think you're talking about writing OOP? Yes, we're writing OOP. Now another example. So what is it? Another example. Another example is, haha. Not haha here. Haha here. Okay. I want to continue my journey. Okay. I want to execute something like this. I will execute something like this. The previous code is not this version. The previous code is to read it. Right? Now I'm not going to read it. I want to write to it. Okay? So the first bit code we tried already, it failed. Now how about to write? And then to read again. And whether if the previous two changes is successful, whether it will change the private variable or not. Wow, seems to be a horrible thing, huh? Maybe you need a diagram. The diagram is like this. I'm an object. I have a private counter here. Okay? Original starting point is 0. I make some changes. Let's say now it's look like a face, huh? Okay. So now it becomes 1. Okay? So I want to access it, fail, because this is a private. Now I want to assign value like 100, assign to it, and try to read it again, and to see whether this private counter will change or not. Let's do it. Okay, so the version 2. Okay, don't care about the pinout first. Okay, so let's take a look. This is the extension of the previous code. So the extension is I also start with a 0, add 2 to make it into 2, and then 1 decrement by 1, so it becomes 1. Now what's going on here? I will commit into one problem. This is the undefined. Now undefined goes on with assigning a variable value 100 to the same name as a private variable. I want to access the private variable again, try to implement it. If the previous code all fail, this increment will only make the private variable from 1 go back to 2. From 1 go back to 2 and output 2. Let's go, huh? 0. That this is the start. Increment twice, 2. Decrement 1, 1. Access the private variable, failed. Add 100 to the private variable and access it again. 100. Use the poppick method to access the private variable again. 2. What is it? Yeah, this is JavaScript. Yeah, come on. You're learning the true JavaScript now. What is it? What is this? What I'm doing? Okay? I'll show you a figure to assist you to understand what is going on. Okay? Look at this figure. We imagine what happened previously. All my operation is operating over a private variable, right? Then I say that I want to assign a value to him, okay, into this guy. And then I find that I'm successful in creating this piece of thing in order to make it into 100. Okay, I change it back to 100. Where's my pen? Oh, here. Okay, so I make it into 100, and it successfully say that when we access it, it is 100. But if I go for the value poster to access the private variable again, then it is normal. So what is going on? As if this private counter, this phrase, has 2 meanings or 2 bodies. Okay, there are really 2 bodies, 2 pieces of memory get created. Now look here. This is a true JavaScript. Huh? What is this guy? Okay. before the previous version 1 program, I didn't assign variable to it. I only tried to access this guy. And when I tried to access this guy, I failed. Why? Because this statement means that this counter, are you having this property called private counter? It said no, right? Because it's a private variable, I pretend the private variable actually is inside the construct. Okay? So as if it is disappeared. So it says undefined. Now what you are doing next is to assign a value to here. If you remember previously, I talked about how to create an object. You can create an empty object, use new object, close it, open and close bracket, semicolon. Then I will create an object. You can add whatever field you want. This is the process that I add a field called private counter. Yet, it is separated from the previous kosher that I set up. Okay? The kosher is the kosher to those functions, not to the object. Okay? And this guy is a property. It's a property to that object or the public instance variable. Okay? So that means that you are doing the change over 2 pieces of memory. And this is why people can add a certain field like the JQ. Okay, you want to add a window $, and then assign the entire function to it, so you can include a JavaScript library to your program. Is the same trick, but it's totally isolated from the kosher that we set up previously. Okay? Wow, is it cool, huh? Any problem? Any problem you want to ask? Yeah. This is not because I want to make it into an examination, put it in so I teach them. It is, if I don't teach this stuff, okay, I'm not actually teaching JavaScript. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's far more than that. Far more than that. So one of my slides will point you guys to what the function is.
Oh yeah, great. So yeah, so Postgre is number 1 priority when people talk about JavaScript. Okay, if you don't talk about it, yeah, you just didn't learn any JavaScript. Okay. Now, second important pattern. Okay, the previous pattern is not. I don't say it's a pattern, right? Because I'm just manufacturing one object out. Okay, I manufacture one guy. How about I create a class? Just like Java, I want to create a class. Okay, then I want to have a class to produce as many objects as I want. Very few change that I can create a class. Okay, look at here. I don't have enough space. Okay, I make it in 2 pieces. Okay, so this bunch of things is just like the previous code, except that I don't execute everything. Right? I create a function. Okay, whenever you want a variable or you want to create an object, okay, I just create a function called makeCounter. Then you can use this thing. Okay, so I skip this. So look at here. I just say the makeCounter. Okay, I also set up a variable name for me to print it out easily. Okay, so you can create a class makeCounter and create an object. makeCounter again, create another object. So why different objects have different local or no, actually local private variable? Why is that? Very easy, huh? It is because this kosher, I just set it up. I didn't execute it. It's just a piece of code only. When I call this function, okay, this whole bunch of things will create a kosher and enclosing the same objects only. Okay, there are many names to it. Some people call it the class pattern. Some people call it the module pattern. Okay, so well, I was just say that this is a way that you should use to create a object. Okay, don't use new again. Okay, some people tell you that use prototype. Okay, but I love this more. Okay, using prototype cannot fulfill the goal of having a private variable. Now this is a way to create a private variable. Create a class that can create object with private variables. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Yes?
Are you going to teach prototype?
I want to. And it depends on the time. Depends on the time I have. I want to talk about prototype. Okay? No questions? Okay.
But then you cannot use that type of to determine the
Right, the type of, we say object.
instance of.
We say object. Yeah, we just say object. No, I cannot control it. It's an internal of the JavaScript. Yeah. Any questions? No. Okay. Wow. Then next time we will talk about a few more things. Okay. A few more things about functions. Except culture, we have other things to play with functions. Okay. So in C, you can call a function main with an argument count, argument vector. Can JavaScript do so? Yes, we can. Okay. In JavaScript, we can also how can I say? I give you a function name. Okay. But I don't know how many parameters, okay? I just want an array to pretend to be a parameter list. Can I apply that array to that functions and treat it as a parameter list? Yes. Okay, we call it apply function or apply pattern. Okay? So we will go on next time.